I'm back. It's been a while. I'm back with a new setup, this amazing mic, an amazing 4K webcam. Shout out to my bestie who spoiled me for my birthday. Absolutely was not expecting this, so I just really appreciate her so much. You know who you are. I'm not going to say your government name on here, but it's so special having friends that believe in your dreams, and I really do want to make good YouTube content. And I was feeling really rubbish about my camera and mic quality, which is why I hadn't made videos for a while now, because it's like nobody's gonna want to watch and listen with that. So love you so much, thank you so much for that. But anyway, my rant today, it is too hot. It is too bloody hot in the UK. And I've been a lifelong summer and heat hater ever since I was a child, to be honest. And I finally feel seen in the past couple of years, because I feel like honestly in this country you would get like flogged and ostracized if you said you don't like the heat and you don't like the sun. I do understand historically Britain is a very grey, cold, damp country. I'm not saying I love the rain either, but I've never enjoyed the heat. And I feel like British people, it's sacrilegious to say to British people that you do not enjoy the heat. The reactions I have had from people saying I don't like the heat, it's like I've personally insulted them. But now with the whole global warming and the fact our summers are getting crazy, like we're getting hotter temperatures than tropical countries, people are finally coming around, and I'm seeing a lot more chatter in real life and on social media of people that are openly hating the heat now. So I feel very seen and very supported. But all jokes aside, it is so terrifying to me. Like, it gives me so much anxiety. So this week is the second major heat wave we've had this year. We had a really crazy one in May. This one is even worse. I believe it's going to be over 30 degrees until Saturday, and right now it's Tuesday, and I feel like right now I'm sitting in a soup pot or a soup bowl in this room. I've got my little tower fan behind me, but oh my goodness, it's way too hot and it's way too humid. And what is concerning me is that there's records being broken every year, and they are not positive records, they are not good records. So the last heat wave we had in May, I believe the record, it was in London maybe, that was broken. It was like the hottest day ever, I think 33 degrees. It's never been that hot in May ever before in this country. And yet, like I said, every year the temperature records are breaking, and that is not a positive thing. So I remember, I believe it was to the 2018 heat wave. That's the first time in the UK we've had 40 degree and over weather. I remember it reached 42 degrees in London, and I actually was hospitalised then. I had to go to hospital in an ambulance because I get extremely unwell in the heat. One is because I have Asperger's, and it's very common people on the autistic spectrum to struggle with regulating their temperature, so there's that. And also I take medication that makes it extremely hard to regulate your temperature, so I just get it twofold. And I remember, I literally couldn't get up off the floor, and it felt like my heart wasn't beating. My heart was beating super slow, and having palpitations, and I literally honestly thought I was going to pass out. I thought I was going to die. It sounds dramatic, but I was so ill, so I had to go to the hospital in an ambulance, and I was in the bed for a while, and they did, is it the ECG, the heart machine thing, and they was like, yeah, your heartbeat is irregular, but we don't know why. And I just sat there boiling in the hospital for a while, and then they sent me home with, can't remember what the medication was called, but something that does something to your heartbeat. And yeah, that was horrible. So I'm not just moaning for the sake of it, or I'm just hate being sweaty. I genuinely get sick in the heat. So when I see forecasts like this week, the heat wave we're having, I get the worst anxiety. It genuinely scares me. I don't like cold weather. I like spring and autumn, because I like just nice mild weather, like between 15 to 22 degrees, I'd say, is my comfortable spot. And a little bit of sunshine, or even if it's cloudy, I don't mind that. I don't necessarily like rain, and I really hate snow. So I'm not saying I love the winter, but I would rather take the winter than the summer, because there's multiple reasons for this. And these discussions, especially online, always seem to bring out the heat warriors from other countries going, oh, it gets hotter than that temperature in my country. Oh, that's nothing. But what you've got to realise is, one, England is super, super humid. And two, we are not built for heat. We're not built for anything. Even when it snows, the country falls apart. When it rains too much, it floods, it falls apart. And with the heat, it falls apart. We are not built to take heat because, again, this is a recent issue because of global warming. This isn't a country that historically was hot. Like, I feel like when I was a kid in summer, if it was like 20 degrees, that was seen as hot. That was seen as baking to us. And now that's actually cold. If it was 20 degrees right now, I would feel cold because I'm so used to the crazy over 30-degree weathers we've been having the past few years. But issue number one is our housing. A lot of the houses here are old little crumbling brick houses, such as mine, that are falling apart and they are not well insulated. So what happens with that is, in the winter, heat doesn't stay in, especially the case in my house. You can have all the radiators on and it will still be freezing here because it just does not hold the heat. But on the flip side, when your house isn't well insulated, it means in summer it keeps the heat in. It's not able to get the heat out. So majority of our houses, because there is a lot of old housing here, is built like that. So as you can imagine, that's not going to be able to cope well with extremely hot weather. I have heard from people, well, conflicting reports, people living in new build. I've heard some people in new build say, yes, it's so well insulated that it's nice and cool in the summer, and in winter you don't even need to put the heating on because it's warm. But then I've also heard from other people in new builds that because the walls are so thick, it's actually unbearably hot all year round in them. So I guess it's a mixed bag on what you get with that. And it is a problem with new builds, how inconsistently they're built and the quality of them. So I don't know if living in a new build really is a solution to manage with living in this ever increasing hot country. But I have heard some new builds are better at coping with that. But the majority of the housing stock here is old and it cannot cope with any extreme of weather. So if the weather is mild, it will be okay. But if it's either too hot or too cold, you're going to be suffering. Also, again, a lot of people go on about this, is the humidity. Dry heat is a lot more easier to cope with than humid heat. Because the problem is, when it is so humid, you're not able to sweat and cool yourself down. And also when you're breathing, even right now, the air just feels so wet. I feel like I can't even get a full refreshing breath. It's like trying to breathe underwater. That's what it feels like to me. So the humidity, I think, is the main contributing factor to what makes the heat so unbearable. And apparently it's going to be like 80% humidity this week here in this heat wave. So RIP to us all in the UK. Absolutely horrific. And it's also the lack of breeze. So on days like today's, there's no breeze, and even at night time there won't be any breeze, so you're not just being able to get that cool air coming in as well. Another issue is because in the summer our nights are so short, the pavement and the walls and stuff in the houses don't have time to cool down because it's still light until about 10 p.m. now. And then the sun will come up again around 4 or 5 a.m. So that's not enough time for it to be dark and everything to cool down. So then what happens is you get this accumulative heat effect where your walls of your house are constantly heating up from the sun, but they're not having enough time to release that heat. So when you have consecutive days like this week, 5 days in a row of a heat wave, each day the walls of your house are just heating up more and more and more and not releasing that heat. And the same thing happens with the pavements, which is why it's really dangerous to walk dogs in this weather, because even if the sun isn't up, you walk them at night time, the pavement is still hot and you've got to watch their paws. So if you do have a dog, you put the back of your hand on the pavement, and that way you can test whether it's safe to walk them on it or not. A lot of people don't think about that. Oh, I don't know what just dropped there. So that's another thing that contributes to making the summer in the UK hellish. Another one, and again, I think this is going to change in the near future, I think it's even changing this year, is the lack of aircon. And not just in homes, even in public places, because not every shop or cafe or even like hospital care homes, they don't have aircon. And you would think, even though aircon's not standard in homes, I kind of get that historically here, I would assume like businesses would have it. But trust me, my experience from working in retail, they like to cheap out. And even sometimes when they do have it, when I worked in retail, they refuse to turn it on because they don't want to pay for the bills. So you can't get any relief in your house. You have no aircon in your house, but you can't even go to a public place to cool down because they don't have aircon. So that makes it really unbearable. And that's another difference I see with people online saying that we're wimps and the hot weather is nothing here, because they tend to come from countries where aircon is normalized, so they will have it in homes, public spaces, and I don't think they realize we've just got these little fans that are pushing around hot air. Like, aircon is not a normalized thing here. But this year, another thing I have noticed, aircon has sold out everywhere, so I think that's finally changing, and I think that's a good thing. I actually think more people should embrace it, because there's a really weird kind of stiff upper lip attitude here that I've seen people make fun of people that get aircon. They're like, oh, it's only hot 3 days a year now. No, that is not the case at all. It's hot for many weeks now in the summer, and unbearably hot. So I don't see the problem in buying like a portable aircon unit and using it for a few weeks a year and then storing it away. I mean, I bought my first aircon unit all the way back in 2018, and back then they were a lot cheaper because it wasn't very common. People weren't really buying them. And I remember because of the 2018 Heatwave, I bought one. I believe it was £350, which sounds like a lot, but it's a very powerful one. Like, if I bought that now, it probably would be 600-700 for the same model, and it's lasted this long. It's been working since 2018, and it's still working now. And I remember when I bought that, so many people like made fun of me and just thought I was so weird. Like, why do you need aircon? But it was an absolute lifesaver, especially after I did get hospitalized from being so sick from the heat. The aircon, I was like, this is absolutely crucial. Because I was living in a middle floor flat then with carpet, so I would get, the heat would rise. And yeah, there was just no way to get rid of it. It was absolute hell. One of the many reasons I would never live in a flat again, especially a middle floor one. So I got that all the way back in 2018. And then this year I bought in the sale another smaller unit, because that unit I do have is quite big and bulky. But I managed to make it work in my small flat. So, you know, I would just store it. I would leave it in the hallway when I wasn't using it. So it didn't really bother me having it out. But I know some people are kind of funny about having them out and visible in the house, so I think that does put people off buying them. But I also bought a smaller one this year for the downstairs, so I don't have to be lugging this massive machine up and down, and I'm just so happy I did that when I did, because now I've looked, all the aircons are sold out. Even the more expensive ones, the cheap ones, they're all sold out now. But I think that is such a good thing, because the more people embrace having aircon in their homes, the more normalized it will be. But also I feel like it will bring the price down. Like, if it becomes a standard thing that people invest in, it won't be as expensive, because if you want to get the aircon that gets actually permanently installed in your house, I believe for like one room it's like 1,500, I guess, because it is so rare. But again, if that does become more common, I would hope the price would go down. And also, one thing I think they should do is new builds. I think they should be built with aircon as a standard. That just makes sense to me, because aircon isn't just for cooling. You can use it for heating as well. So I really feel like they should be built with aircon as a standard. I do know in older houses it will probably be a lot harder to install, but in newer houses, I feel that that would attract more people to buy them, because new builds do have quite a bad reputation. Most people I know that are looking to buy a house are like, they want to avoid new builds, but I think having aircon could help swing it for some people. I also feel the government needs to organise for future cool hubs. So in the winter there are warm hubs that like vulnerable people, elder people, children can go to warm up, especially if you can't afford to heat your home. So it's like free public spaces like libraries, that sort of thing. I think they need to bring in cool hubs, so places people can go with air conditioning for free and just sit there and cool down. Because right now you could go to like a cafe or whatever, but you'd have to spend money, and obviously if you don't have a lot of money or any money, what are you going to do? I think they should have cool hubs. I also, in an ideal world, more public swimming pools, or like Lidos, outdoor pools that are like low cost. I really think need to be implemented. Could be like a 10-hour long video, because I'm not joking when I say I'm a lifelong heat hater. I absolutely am. It's horrible when you have animals. So I have a dog, and she's a big dog, so they're more sensitive to the heat. And in the summer, I have to wake up earlier to walk her. That's fine. But the next few days, I won't even be able to wake up early and walk her, because it's not dropping below 21, 22 degrees, even at night time, or like 5, 6 a.m. And then the pavements will be hot. So I'm just not going to risk taking her out in that, because she does start to pant very heavy when it's over 20. And it's just so annoying, because I feel so bad, because then she's just shut in the house all week, bored, not being able to exercise. And I always worry about my cats, even though I don't need to, because I try and keep them in during heat waves, and they just insist on going out and like sleeping in bushes, so they seem fine. But I still worry about them as well, especially because cats don't drink as much as dogs. But having pets, especially dogs, in the summer is not fun at all. How can I forget public transport? Another reason why heat is absolute hell in this country. It really seems hit and miss whether some trains and buses have aircon, because I find some of them I go on actually have it, but the majority I go on don't. So then sitting on this metal and glass box, sitting inside this metal and glass box, cramped with a load of other people, usually in workwear, because you're probably commuting to work. It is not it. It is not it in the summer. It's cruel. I really think, depending on the job, yes, maybe stuff like police officers, fire people, doctors are not going to be able to take the day off. But if you do not have an essential job, I feel like you should be allowed to take the day off or work from home during these heat waves, because I feel so sorry for anyone commuting in this. When I was living in London, I remember one of the days that was like 34 degrees. I was working the whole day and having to go on the bus, and oh my god, I don't know how I survived that bus journey. It was literally hell on earth, and I feel so bad for the bus drivers. I just saw a TikTok yesterday when a bus driver, he had to stop the bus because he was woozy and passing out, and they're in a glass box, so that's like a greenhouse effect. And I feel really bad for the bus drivers. I'm not sure whether train drivers, whether their carriage or little pod has aircon or anything, but public transport again is not built for these 30+ degree days. I mean, even on a 25 degree day, it gets hot on there. And don't even get me started about the tube. Luckily, it's not something I have to go on anymore because I'm not in London. But years ago, I remember I was on the way to my sister's birthday in central London, and I was on the Northern Line. And it was one of those days, it was probably 26, 27 degrees, and the tube freaking got stuck for 2 hours in the tunnel. And literally, I've never felt so scared and hot and claustrophobic in my life. Like, I literally just wanted to open the door and run onto the track and walk to the next station. That was the most horrific experience of my life. So now, if I can really help it, if I am in London during the summer, I will try and avoid the tube. Even if it means a longer journey, having to get multiple buses, I'm not risking going on the tube in this weather. I feel validated though, because I know many people from way hotter countries than the UK, and they even admit the UK heat here is different and it's horrible and it's worse than their countries back home. So it's not just me being a wimp, it genuinely is bad here. So I feel very validated by that.